Hey, everybody out there ready? We ready to go? Okay, here we go. No talking on the other end. Good morning, everybody. And that song is called Some of These Days. Okay, here's a little bit of data about it. It was written by Shelton Brooks in 1910. Sophie Tucker, who was very popular in those days as a movie star singer, she heard this and immediately adopted it as her signature song. And she recorded it right away. So that was a little bit of data about that song. It's still being played today. Matter of fact, probably every gig I ever do, we play it or the band plays it. So there you go. There's your cultural enrichment for this morning. And I say to you, there is no other show on TV or the internet where the host comes on who you think is going to do an interview, and he's going to, and plays a horn and plays a song that was written anywhere from 50 to 100 years ago. But this is the one place that it's done. And this is Life After Scientology, and I'm your host, Ron Miscavige. Okay, good morning, everybody. Now, to start off, I just want to announce we have a new patron, and it's TJB Fan. So, TJB Fan, for $3, I thank you very much. Thank you for contributing to the ongoingness of this program. And all of you out there, if you'd like to, instead of just being enlightened or entertained for whatever reason you watch this, which is fine with me, you can turn from that into being an actual participant merely by becoming a patron. It could be for $1 or $2 or $5 or $10, whatever you want. But please, if you'd like to do it, move today and join up and become part of our team. So now, this morning, we have one of your favorite guests back, and mine, Carriere. And a couple interviews ago, she mentioned that she would talk about the international executives that were declared suppressive persons. In other words, these are people who maybe have served L. Ron Hubbard in the Church of Scientology for 30, 40, or 50 years. All of a sudden, they realize, wait a minute, these guys are suppressives. So to give you her take on it, which is very incisive and well thought out, and the way it is, she's telling the truth about this. Please welcome Karen de la Carriere. Good morning, Karen.
Hello, Ron. Hi, Sean. Hello, everybody.
Okay, so look, as I mentioned to our audience, a couple interviews ago, we were talking about suppressives and them getting declared, but we never got into the top ones at the international base. And that's what I'd like to do today, if that's okay with you, Karen.
Yes, Ron, for decades, Scientology, with the them versus us attitude, always nailed the media and government as the bad guys. The CIA, the FBI, the Food and Drug Administration that confiscated the e-meters, they call it INS now, the Immigration Service. Any government agency was looked on as suppressive. The entire United States government was named suppressive. And then all of media, journalists, authors, writers, anyone who exposed or said anything about Scientology, automatically had a label of being an antisocial personality, which in the cult is called suppressive person. But as we were just launching into, in the last 10 to 15 years, the cult turned inward, and the new suppressives were people who were on staff 30, 40 years. It's just unbelievable. The suppressives were no longer these external psychiatrists that electric shock people, and the media, the TV, the authors, the journalists, the government, and anybody who spoke out at any time. Another breed of what's called suppressive person is a label given to anyone who escapes or flees. So if you leave the cult, the definition of who you are is suppressive person. Now, we were talking about Mark Yager, Greg Wilhelm, and Ray Medoff. Let's take up Ray Medoff.
Okay.
This is a guy who has the highest technical training. He's Class 12 CS plus Dean of Tech. These are just labels, but he was the pinnacle, the apex, the zenith of all of the delivery of counseling. And when Hubbard was dying in the last 6 days at Creston Ranch, Ray Medoff was there doing the counseling on Hubbard as he faded. He had a kind of dementia and he was fading out, and Ray Medoff was there. Because Ray was looked on as the best of the best in terms of Scientology delivery, counseling. Well, Ray Medoff subsequently was declared a suppressive person. He was assaulted numerous times. A fair estimate from all the people who speak out who were there is that he was punched, beaten, kicked to the floor, body slammed at least 40 times, visibly as seen by others, and has been a long-term resident of what is called suppressive person hold. Ron, please step in and tell briefly what is SP hold.
Well, the SP hold is, they had portable trailers purchased to be used by CMO, Commodore's Messenger Org. And these were put together and formed into a huge building, 1 story, but they're basically trailers. And when the hole was started, what happened with that structure was there were bars put on all of the windows. The back door was not only barred shut, it was screwed shut. In other words, there were screws placed in it, so no matter what, you could not open that door. And then there was a security guard placed at the entrance so that in order for you to go in or go out, you have to go through a security guard. And then the people who were deemed SPs, suppressive persons, antisocial personalities, were put there and spent their entire day so-called coming up with sins they had committed and writing them down, and just self-abnegation, making themselves think, I've never been any good. I thought I was, but I just come to the conclusion I've been an SP all along. I mean, that insane. In the case of Ray Medoff, now look, this guy, as you pointed out, was the top technical person on the planet. All of a sudden, for him to be declared an SP, it would be like the Pope of the Catholic Church taking his top cardinal and all of a sudden saying, Cardinal so-and-so has been betraying me all these years. He is defrocked. He is now going back to be a parish priest, but he can't leave until he confesses all of his sins. and then forever sitting down and confessing your sins. It's that insane. Ray Midoff was known by the public as the top technical guy, too. This is not just an internal thing. He was looked upon, as well as Mark Yager and Guillaume and Greg Wilher, as top-notch people. And they were, in fact. I mean, you know, a little bit nuts to go along with all this and never make a break for it. But nevertheless, they were the top technical people. And Ray Midoff, I mean, I knew him. I know all of these guys personally. These were nice people. These were not bad people. And, you know, if you sit down with somebody who's a real son of a bitch, within minutes, you can say, hey, wait a minute. Something's off with this guy. And maybe it's your intuition that the guy's radiating his evilness at you. You pick up on it. I never picked up on any of these guys. Anyway, there's my 2 cents, Karen.
Ray Midoff was an LSD case. They have this weird thing where they don't even believe in their own technology, because apparently there are 5 different drug handlings for you in Scientology. There's a Scientology drug rundown, and a New Era Dianetics drug rundown, and OT4 drug rundown, and a NOTS drug rundown. And at every level, you're running out anytime you took drugs. So the entity called the Sea Org cannot recruit you and make you a Sea Org member if you've ever taken LSD, which is kind of bizarre. They're saying their technology on handling your drug case or your drug incidents doesn't work. Ray Midoff, one thing about him is he's the most senior tech terminal, but he was an LSD case. Now, here's the thing on Ray. He was supposed to come back with knowledge and data of the next 2 higher levels, OT 9 and 10. And Ray is said to have told David Miscavige, I can't remember it. And this infuriated, absolutely infuriated. How can he not remember? You see, these are cash cows selling a level, selling a new level. The old faithfuls come trekking in to buy it. There has been no new OT level since 1986. Ooh, 33 years. So it's pretty obvious they don't have it. There's no way they would have something and not market it for new cash for 33 years. Do you agree, Ron?
I do agree. And on the other hand, I'm going to throw 2 cents in here. Maybe L. Ron Hubbard didn't even mention it to Ray Midoff. So him to say, I can't remember it, maybe it was never mentioned. That would make more sense than anything, since anything up at that level doesn't work to bring about the desired result. So for Ray to say, well, I can't remember, maybe he didn't say it.
Well, that's also true. OT8 is a concoction of little things they have culled out of Hubbard's folders. Hubbard would incessantly counsel himself in what's called solo auditing. Hold the cans, meditate, and write down things.
Right.
Well, they've gone through those, and that's why OT8, the very highest level, has 5 distinct versions or editions. Now, if you're doing a certain level, it isn't going to have a different version depending what year you go to Freewinds for this level. How can it be?
Yeah.
But anyway, just, these things are so gory and so macabre. But I do have to say, in SP Whole, the 2 key questions are, what crime do you have on David Miscavige? And what are your crimes on Scientology? And this is pounded in the inmates. They often have as many as 100 in there. This is pounded on the person. And they have a kind of hazing ritual where a whole bunch of them can start beating up on a single person in there. So there's actual violence that occurs. I think it's very important to say these things on record. Hemet police, Riverside police are completely backed off. This is in their zip code. Where is law enforcement? There's video after video, blog after blog, message board, groups, Twitters, denouncing the violence at this infamous, notorious INT base, meaning international base or gold base, meaning the location where the hierarchy and all the top execs live. What do you think, Ron? Why do police do nothing?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think they have the courage to stand up to it, just like the politicians. There's not one politician in the United States of America who has come forward, and they have got to see that, in other words, there's too much on the internet about the abuses of this church for this claim, I know nothing about it. And I think
Well, I want to say something else that I want on record.
Okay, go on.
Kamala Harris, when she was Attorney General, was presented with an unbelievable 1-inch thick pack of documents, all part, written by lawyers. She was California Attorney General. They know lawyers want to see it in legal. She kicked those people out of her office.
Wait, who was this?
Kamala Harris.
Wait, let me stop talking and say the name without me talking. Go ahead.
Kamala Harris. She's running for president currently. Wow. And when she was Attorney General, she was given full documentation of the actual crimes being committed within the cult. Now, this is not a Democrat Republican issue. This is just, she was Attorney General. She was in the state of where huge crimes are committed internally by the cult. Huge crimes. INT bases there, PAC bases there, kidnap, held against will, RPF atrocities. RPF is the prison camp you're sent to for mind control when you messed up or when you become a dissident or you say critical things. That's where you go. Atrocities occur there. Kamala Harris, currently running for president, apparently creeping up to Joe Biden's statistics, was given a full presentation with documented evidence. And when she was told it's about Scientology, she kicked the presenters out of her office. She wouldn't accept the PAC. She wouldn't talk. She wouldn't see them. She wasn't even willing to receive the data.
Wow.
And I hold a grudge against her for that, because as Attorney General, she could have instigated some heavy investigations leading to...
Are you talking about the Attorney General of California?
Of California, yes.
Yeah, now we got to say that because...
I did. I said it twice. When Kamala Harris was Attorney General of California.
Okay.
Right, in Sacramento, she was visited by a couple of long-term veteran Scientologists. One was a lawyer, and she would not receive the data. Wow. As Attorney General of California. She had all the power to set up investigations and do this and that, and she did nothing. Okay, back to our discussion of INT execs.
Yeah.
Greg Wilhare, what a sad character he is. He was ordered to divorce his wife, Sandy Wilhare, and he meekly obeyed. He was ordered by your son, David Miscavige.
Yeah.
David Miscavige has ordered a huge amount of divorces.
Well,
Well
how
over
about Warren McShane? Didn't he order him to get
yeah,
divorced?
yeah. And these men married 20, 25 years, boom, divorce because they're ordered to. And so Sandy was kicked out, and she works in Los Angeles and battling her severe medical problems. Greg Wilhare has been always a devotee of David Miscavige.
Yeah, I know that.
And has taken anything at all. So he's trusted. This is a big word, trust, trusted. He was the one, you know the story of Greg Wilhare's son,
Yes.
Darius, and Mark Headley were two Sea Org members that went through 40 videos of beautiful Scientology women to choose a girlfriend or sexual partner for Tom Cruise.
Yep.
You know that whole thing.
Of course, yeah.
Tom Cruise finished with his last girlfriend. I think it was Penelope Cruz. And Tom Cruise, he and David Miscavige were very close. And David Miscavige ordered that a roundup was done of the most beautiful women in the cult. And they were given this spin that they might be selected to be in a Tom Cruise movie. So they all had to bid. And Darius, the son of Greg Wilhare, and Mark Headley were a couple of Sea Org members choosing the best, the most, the prettiest, the most engaging, the most charming. And you gotta really pause and think about that, Ron. How can the Church of Scientology become a dating service, a pimping service for a movie star? These are Sea Org members.
Hang on, Karen. I don't have to think about that more than about 2 seconds, maybe 1.5 seconds. You imagine Tom Cruise, one of the top movie stars in the world, rich, good looking. He has to have somebody set him up with a girlfriend? Please, for God's sake, somebody sold him a bill of goods that only certain people could pick this friend for him.
Well, they wanted to have a girl they would have completely under control, a Scientologist, one who would obey, one who would send knowledge report. You know, the girl was being groomed and chosen from within the church for an agenda.
Yeah.
They didn't want him going off with some non-Scientologist. So anyway, I did a diversion on Greg because of his son, Darius, who then, this is Darius Wilhare. He permitted David Miscavige to, first his wife was expelled. Now his son was declared suppressive person and expelled.
Darius was
Greg Wilhare, completely meek and mild, allowing his son to be kicked out, and Greg Wilhare continued to just work, not missing a beat.
Well, I will tell you, it is the cleverest manipulation of people that possibly has ever gone on. Because when you think of brainwashing, you think of, you know, the North Koreans brainwashing people to go out and assassinate some of their opponents and stuff and do the dirty work. But you wouldn't think that, let's say regular people, when I say regular people go out and get a job, they work, they raise families, or somebody who comes in to help, supposedly, what they say, clear this planet and make everybody aware that they're spiritual beings and everybody lives a happier life. You wouldn't think that those people could be manipulated to do these things, yet they have done that. This is very clever brainwashing.
You know, it does roll back to Hubbard.
Yeah.
It does roll back. Hubbard had the orders to say the planet was going to obey Scientology. It's in the class 8 tapes, right in his voice.
Right.
You will rule. It was quite a political, it was no longer spiritual. The reason these Navy uniforms, these fake Navy uniforms are used, it's supposed to give a presence, which Hubbard called ethics presence. When people, I was once in uniform. I was in a supermarket in uniform, and some strangers saluted, like being courteous, thinking, oh, it's a military person, literally.
Yeah.
So this business of, we will crush you if you don't obey, the soul destroying element of SP Hole, fondly called the dungeon, where you go to be crushed and become a scared little puppy wagging his tail, doing whatever Miscavige, doing whatever the hierarchy said. This is,
And they turn into that too.
and Ron, Scientology screams about psychiatry, saying it's treatment by punishment, putting you in an ice bath of ice cubes, electric shock. This is trying to change your mind by punishment. But that's what Scientology does.
Yeah.
It's become a form of psychiatry.
Yeah, it has.
It is. Because it's punishing you to change your mind.
Yeah.
And that's what the false purpose rundown is.
Yep. And you can be turned around so that something that you saw happened, or you witnessed something, your mind could be turned around that you really didn't see that, or that you're going to come up with evil purposes that you've always had. You didn't realize it, and you've been bad after all. Now, I would like to get into Mark Yager, though, before we kind of run out of as well. Yeah. Format.
Yeah. I've always thought highly of Mark Yager as
hey, same here. I got to interrupt because I never had a bad situation with Mark Yager. He was always, I don't know, just a very nice person.
I do hope he's not mentally so crushed that he eventually could take the helm. I don't know. But anyway, he as an executive, Mark Yager, I feel, till he got some colors of following David Miscavige's style, Mark Yager was really, really a good man.
Yeah.
One day, Mark Yager threatened to leave. And David said, if you leave, I will destroy you. This is in the book, Blown for Good. Mark Yager was told that, this is what made him be sent into the wilderness for 2 years. I think we likely covered that. Didn't he have to live in a tent? I think we covered that in a previous thing.
We covered this in a prior interview.
But the thing is, what he had said to toss him out there was, he said he wanted to leave. Now, he wanted to leave because this is what the Sea Org never look at. They scream about apostates and disaffected and blah, blah. They never look at what they did to cause the person to want to leave and depart. They never, ever look at the earlier beginning of internal torture. I was tortured twice in that entity. Tortured.
Yeah.
Mentally tortured. Till I sprung back, and now I have a voice. But I was crushed. This is what the cult does internally. It did it to Warren McChain. Warren McChain has been humiliated. Miscavige has called him the biggest liar of all time in a derogatory, letting the crew know that Warren McChain is the biggest liar on planet Earth. This kind of thing is incredibly humiliating. So what happens with Warren McShane? You were there when his daughter wasn't allowed. No, that's not Warren McShane. Excuse me. That was the lawyer. The girl, Moxon.
Girl that killed herself.
Warren McShane. Excuse
Yeah.
me. Warren McShane was simply ordered to kick out his wife, Marcy, and Marcy was gone.
Well, I'll tell you, this has a internal line that's really hidden, but thought about by people who leave. And I'll tell you what it could be. This is my opinion. Of course, it's yours. I don't want to steal your thunder on this, but I want to bring this up because what brought this up the first time to my mind was this. I was promoted to be an officer, and there is policy in the Sea organization that in order to take away a person's rank, there are certain actions you have to do to be able to take that away because it is his rank permanently. David just arbitrarily said, "You guys are demoted to chief petty officer," took the rank away. And I thought, wait a minute. What happened to the policy that says it has to be such and such before they can do this? I no longer could trust the Sea organization to keep its word to me.
There's the policy for schmolicy. It's whatever David Miscavige wants on any given day. That's policy. That is policy.
You're right. But I didn't know that up until that point.
You didn't know.
That point was the point that I thought, wait a minute. This policy doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be this. Skip policy. Committee of evidence has so many days. 30 days after they haven't done it, David could come in and say, hey, where's the result of that? They'll go back and try the person. And of course, if you're brought before a committee of evidence, do not think for 1 minute that you'll be found not guilty. I've never, in all the years I was in the Sea Org, found anybody ever who was pronounced not guilty of the crimes. So
these are kangaroo courts. These are just nonsense.
Exactly.
Let me just very, very quickly finish because I don't want, I apologize. Warren McShane has always been legal, always in charge of the legal arena. Ken Moxon is the go-to little pony for David Miscavige in legal. So I kind of confused. So I apologize. Stacy Moxon was the daughter of Ken Moxon. And she was a young girl, like 21. She wasn't allowed to go see her husband in Los Angeles. And can you finish the story of how she died?
Well, I'd rather it's terrible. I got to tell you, it bothers me. I prefer you do it, Karen. I hate like hell on you. Go on.
Okay, here's this beautiful 21-year-old Sea Org member. And suddenly the story is she's electrocuted to death. What? And the spin that the cult give Hemet police was she went down these electrical vaults to rescue a squirrel. She committed suicide.
Yeah.
She put herself in an electrical vault to kill herself. This is a cult of death and destruction.
It is
Unbelievable amount of deaths. And they are swept under the carpet with absolute utter lies.
Yeah.
All right, so what is the lesson? If you watch one of these videos, the one thing I want you to take away is a lesson learned. What lesson did you learn from Ron and me today? My lesson is, please don't swallow and belong and give your life up to a guru. Bad. What is the lesson learned? What is the lesson learned? Ron, step in.
Well, I think the lesson learned is this. You can't trust them. And if you can't trust a group, you should not belong to it because their word means nothing. I mean, nada. And I mean, it boils down to that. And you can't trust them. It's proven time and time
You
again.
cannot have a relationship ongoing with anyone, a wife, a husband, a business partner, a church that you cannot trust. Bottom line is the cult of Scientology cannot be trusted. That's a good lesson. Well done. Good job.
I'll tell you, that is the entire thing summarized, isn't it, Karen?
Yeah, yeah.
You cannot trust them. And without trust, there can be no relationship. You'll be told lies. You don't know what a lie is, and you don't know what the truth is.
How can you trust someone where in 5 seconds, 2 security guards can pounce on you and take you to a dungeon or the RPF? This is how you live when you're staff in the cult of Scientology.
Yeah.
Every second of the day, you can suddenly be summoned, removed from the job you're doing, and go into some kind of medieval torture program.
Yeah.
That is the scene of people who have relatives who are thinking of joining the Sea organization. That's how they live. They live under the fear of any moment they could be declared a suppressive person. It's just amazing how this entity can continue and persist.
Well, I guess, I don't know what the hell I guess. I know this. When you have a lot of money and they've got like $3 billion and you have attorneys that will do your bidding for money, I mean, you can continue to go along on momentum itself. And anybody who stands up to you, if they go into litigation, they know they're going to outlast you because they have money to spend and they have nothing else to spend it on. They don't do anything to improve the lives of people outside of the church. They do improve their own lives by making a lot of money. I mean, some of the people that work for the IAS and some of the FSMs who sell memberships, make like $250,000 a year doing this. So they have a vested interest in keeping this going, and they turn a blind eye to, well, I don't want to know about that. Many of your movie stars will say, well, as long as I'm getting my auditing, I don't care what happens. Or they'll say it's all lies. Whatever. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's a fake organization in as much as what they say has nothing to do with what they do. Your donations that are supposed to go for improving people's relationships or improving people's businesses or improving the environment, they're photo shoots. They go there and they shoot a photo. What do you call these things? Yeah, I guess a photo shoot.
A photo opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. It's done to raise money, and they keep the money. They don't spend it on what they say they're going to spend it. But the bottom line is what Karen said. You cannot trust them. We had more things that I wanted to do regarding different types of suppressive persons. I'll be honest with you. I think I'd rather leave them with that message. How about you, Karen?
Yes.
Yes, and we can cover that at another interview, which I'm sure we're going to do a lot more, because for our listening audience, I got to tell you, you got to watch these shows, because if Karen or Jeff or some of these people are going to talk, you're going to get information that is going to help your lives and help you, if you're in, to get the hell out and just say, the hell with it, I'm out of here. Or if you're thinking about doing it, just don't do it. I think Sean wants my attention. Sean, go on.
Yeah, you have some super chats.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to turn that mic down. Danielle Demcheck for $1. She donated $1. Thank you, Danielle.
Oh, Danielle, thank you very much. I know that name.
Yeah, Kimberly Hallman for $2. She donated $2. Thank you, Kimberly.
Kimberly, thank you for me.
Thomas Knowles for €10. He says, "Hi, Osa." I'm thinking that's a little sarcastic there.
And what's the guy's name?
Thomas Knowles.
Thomas Knowles. Thank you very much.
Paulie M donated $2. Thank you, Paulie.
Paulie, thank you very much.
And Room 111 Photography says for $2, Karen, you are the ultimate Scientology archivist.
Karen, thank you for that. Accept
Thank you.
True compliment. That's not flattery. That is an actual true statement.
It's true.
40 years in. 2,500 rare photos and images, which I slowly trickle out on Twitter. 2,500 rare images. I think he means it's my photo collection.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. And Karen, thank you very much for coming on. And remember, everybody out there, if you haven't joined to become a Patreon, today's the day to do it. Your help is very much appreciated. I welcome you to participate in this ongoing, I guess you could call it a crusade, because it really is. But anyway, most of all, I want to thank you, Karen. And I'm sure we're going to be back together to do some other interview. So thanks a lot, Karen.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Ron. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye now. And from me to you, this is Life After Scientology. I'm Ron Miscavige. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye for now.